Remember that time when you did something that caused you a lot of annoyance, trouble, heartache, even pain? Maybe you lost a lot of money, or life-changing opportunity, or simply a lot of time that you could have used to do something more enjoyable. Have you ever thought, damn, if I'd just taken my time to think before acting and consider the consequences, maybe I wouldn't be so miserable now? Have you ever caught yourself saying, boy, am I stupid? Maybe some of us are not as harsh with ourselves, but all of us have done things that we have regretted shortly after doing them. And realizing that with a little bit of thought, we wouldn't be in an uncomfortable position. We are highly capable of screwing with our time and our lives in general because of the decisions we take. Fortunately, there are ways in which we can make our choices less painful, and maybe even create outcomes that would improve our lives.
In psychology, decision making is regarded as a cognitive process resulting in the selection of a belief or a course of action among several possible alternative options. It could be either rational or irrational. Decision making process is a reasoning process based on assumptions of values, preferences, and beliefs of the decision maker. Every decision making process produces a final choice, which may or may not prompt action. That is just a fancy way of saying that decisions result from a process. Even our more banal daily choices, like what to eat, what to wear, or what movie to watch, result from that process even though we might not consciously think about it. Going one step further, we can surmise that the more complex the decision we need to make, the more elaborate the process is, and the more attention we give to it. Obviously, the more we think about a decision, the more favorable the outcome is likely to be to us.
One of the consequences of the modern world is that a lot of us have more and more decisions to deal with in our daily lives. There is research that suggests that we are not overwhelmed by the complexity of the world in itself, but rather by the increasing amount of small and big decisions we have to take. Coined by psychologist Roy F. Bannister, decision fatigue is the emotional and mental strain resulting from a burden of choices. She explains that this type of fatigue leads to one of two outcomes: risky decision making or decision avoidance.
Our brain, though a very impressive biological computer, has a finite amount of processing power for our daily tasks before it needs to recuperate through rest. Whether deciding between wearing blue or green pants, or what move to make in a world championship chess match, you are still drawing on the same limited capacity for decision making your brain has to work with. Because of this, we often end up acting in a way that makes our lives more complicated, and unconsidered decisions end up beckoning problems we have to solve that take even more of our precious time and mental resources.
Psychologists have developed several decision-making processes that overlap and can be summarized in the following steps. Step 1. Identify the decision. You realize that you need to make a decision. Step 2. Gather relevant information. Step 3. Identify the alternatives. Step 4. Weigh the evidence. Step 5. Choose among alternatives. Step 6. Take action. Step 7. Review your decision and its consequences.
Of course, we do not employ this process for all the banal daily tasks we have to perform. Many of them we do unconsciously. The reason we fall into problem solving is because our failure to follow this process when it counts. Emotion plays a big role in how we act, and we often forego weighing evidence and replace rationality with emotion. Moreover, our personal biases can add ambiguity to the way we take decisions.
We can selectively search the evidence that might lead us into action in a direction we prefer in the short term instead of what actually would be of benefit to us in the long run. Or we can be reluctant to change our thought patterns and denying ourselves a favorable outcome. And very commonly we exhibit wishful thinking, only seeing things in a positive light and not imagining any negative outcomes, even though they would become obvious after some deeper thought.
And a clear sign of decision fatigue creeping in is when we discard or distort the steps in the decision-making process in favor of our personal biases. Limiting decision fatigue and avoiding constant problem solving means being able to find a state where we take fewer decisions that are well thought through. Lack of time is a commonly used excuse for not thinking thoroughly, but if we dedicate the time to decisions that can have a major impact on our lives, we will gain time, not waste it.
Feeling stupid is something we commonly encounter. None of us have taken the perfect decision every single time. Pressuring ourselves to rigidly analyze our steps can also lead to a blockage, where we are unable to move forward because of our hesitations regarding the many variables of a decision. A series of bad mistakes can hurt a lot, but they are also an opportunity to grow and learn. Taking action should not be rushed, but it should not be blocked by overanalysis either. Life is a chain of decisions, and with some thinking through and learning, we can improve our future outcomes by taking incrementally better decisions one day at a time.